If you have caught yourself in the mirror lately and thought, when did I start leaning forward like that? I want you to know something very gently. You are not collapsing. You are not failing. Your body is simply asking for a different kind of care. Sit with me for a moment. Imagine we are at your kitchen table, 2 cups of tea between us. You feel a little stiffness in your upper back. Maybe your shoulders round forward when you walk. Perhaps your daughter said, "Stand up straight, Mom," and it stung a little. You are not alone in this. I'm Dr. Margaret Hale. I am 86 years old now, and for more than 50 years, I cared for women just like you. Women in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. I have examined thousands of spines, held thousands of hands, and listened to the quiet worries that rarely make it into medical charts. And if you find comfort in calm, steady guidance about your changing body, you are always welcome to stay close here. Think of it not as subscribing to a channel, but as keeping a wise old doctor in your corner. Now let's talk about this gentle forward bend so many women notice after 65. Your spine is not just a stack of bones. It is more like the trunk of a tree in a garden you've tended your whole life. In youth, the trunk is firm and upright. The roots are strong, the bark resilient. But over time, small natural changes occur. First, your muscles. After about age 50, you begin to lose muscle quietly each year. Not dramatically, not suddenly, just gradually, like soil that erodes a little with each rainfall. The muscles along your back are especially important. They act like guide wires holding a tent upright. When they weaken, your shoulders begin to drift forward, almost without you noticing. I remember a patient named Eleanor. She was 74. She told me, "I don't feel weak, doctor. I just feel folded." That was her word, folded. When I examined her, her back muscles were simply tired from years of doing their best without much reinforcement. Nothing was broken. Nothing catastrophic had happened. Her body just needed strengthening in the right places. Then there are your bones. As estrogen declines after menopause, bone density slowly decreases. Think of your bones like the wooden beams of a well-kept home. Over decades, they can become a little lighter, a little more porous. In the spine, tiny compression changes can occur, small settling, like a cushion that has been sat on for many years. This is very common in women over 65. It does not mean you are fragile. It means your internal structure needs thoughtful support. Circulation also plays a role. As you age, blood flow is not quite as brisk as it once was. Muscles that do not receive strong circulation fatigue more easily. And when muscles fatigue, posture softens. Even your metabolism contributes. With slower metabolism, you may carry weight differently than you did at 40. Extra weight in the front of the body, even just a little, can gently pull the shoulders forward over time. And then there is the brain. Your brain and posture are deeply connected. The brain controls your sense of balance and spatial awareness. As certain neural pathways age, your body may unconsciously lean forward slightly to feel more stable. It is not weakness, it is adaptation. I once cared for Maria, 81 years old. She insisted she was shrinking by the week. But when we measured her carefully, much of her lost height was actually posture, her chin drifting forward, her upper back rounding. When we worked on simple daily habits, she regained nearly an inch of upright presence. More importantly, she regained confidence. Now here is what I want you to understand most clearly. A hunched posture after 65 is rarely about one dramatic cause. It is usually about many small, natural shifts happening quietly together. Muscle softening, bone lightening, circulation slowing, balance adjusting. The good news? Your body responds beautifully to gentle attention, even in your 70s and 80s. You do not need extreme exercise. You do not need harsh correction. You need consistency and kindness. Let's begin with something simple. Each morning before you leave your bedroom, sit at the edge of your bed. Imagine a string gently lifting the crown of your head toward the ceiling. Not stiff, not rigid, just tall. Take 5 slow breaths in that position. Feel your ribs expand like a small umbrella opening. This wakes up the deep postural muscles that often fall asleep over the years. Next, your shoulder blades. Think of them as 2 small doors on your back. During the day, they tend to drift apart. Several times daily, gently squeeze those doors toward each other for 5 seconds. Release. Repeat 5 times. This strengthens the upper back without strain. Walking is also medicine, but upright walking. Not fast, not forced. Simply imagine you are balancing a small book on your head as you move. That tiny image can realign the spine more effectively than scolding yourself to stand straight. Eleanor began doing these small practices while waiting for her kettle to boil. Maria practiced them during television commercials. Within months, both women stood taller, not like soldiers, but like oak trees that had remembered their roots. I must say this carefully. If you experience sudden pain, significant height loss, or fractures, that requires medical evaluation. Always involve your physician in decisions about bone health, medications, or imaging. My guidance is not a replacement for your doctor. It is the wisdom of daily care layered on top of proper medical supervision. But for many women, what you are seeing in the mirror is not decline. It is a whisper from your body saying, "Strengthen me gently, support me wisely," and you can. Your spine is still alive with possibility. Your muscles are still responsive. Your nervous system still learns. You are not too late. When you begin to notice your posture softening, I don't want you to think of correction. I want you to think of nourishment. Your body at this stage of life is less like a machine that needs fixing and more like a garden that needs tending. If a plant begins to lean, you don't scold it. You adjust the light. You support the stem. You water the roots. Your spine is the stem. Your muscles are the soil. Your daily habits are the sunlight. Let's talk gently about those roots. The deep muscles that hold you upright are not the big visible ones you see in fitness magazines. They are small, quiet stabilizers that sit close to the spine, like the hidden roots beneath a tree. When you stop challenging them, even unintentionally, they begin to thin. One of the most common reasons I saw women begin to hunch was not disease. It was simply less movement. After retirement, routines change. You may sit more. You may drive more and walk less. You may spend longer hours reading, sewing, or watching television. None of these are wrong. But the spine, like a young sapling, responds to gravity. If you stay in a forward position too long each day, your body begins to accept that shape as normal. I once had a patient named Ruth, 78 years old. She was sharp as a tack and loved crossword puzzles. But she spent 3 to 4 hours a day bent slightly forward over her kitchen table. Over time, her upper back followed that curve. When I asked her to stand against a wall, her head couldn't comfortably touch it anymore. There was no major disease, just repetition. So we adjusted her environment. We raised her puzzle book on a small stand. We adjusted her chair so her hips sat slightly higher than her knees. We added 2 5-minute posture breaks during her puzzle time. Within weeks, she felt less strain in her neck and stood a little taller. Sometimes the solution is not harder effort. It is smarter positioning. Now let's talk about bones again, because this matters deeply for you. After 65, bone remodeling slows. Think of your bones like a home that once had frequent renovations. In youth, the body replaces old bone quickly. In later years, the renovation crew works more slowly. That means you must protect the structure more intentionally. This does not mean fear. It means weight-bearing movement. Your bones respond to gentle pressure. When you walk, when you stand tall, when you rise from a chair without using your hands, tiny signals travel through your skeleton that say, stay strong. Even holding light hand weights while standing upright can gently stimulate the spine. Not heavy, not straining, just enough to remind your bones that they are needed. I used to tell my patients, your bones are listening to your feet. When your feet press into the ground regularly, your spine receives that message. Now let's speak about balance, because posture and balance are sisters. As you age, your inner ear, your eyesight, and your nerve endings in your feet become slightly less sensitive. To compensate, your body may lean forward just a bit to feel safer. It is an unconscious strategy. Instead of fighting that instinct, you strengthen balance gently. Stand at your kitchen counter. Hold lightly with one hand. Lift one heel just slightly off the floor and hold for 10 seconds. Then switch. This wakes up the small muscles around your ankles and hips that support upright posture. Another simple habit: practice turning your head slowly from side to side while standing tall. Many women stop rotating their spine fully as they age. Gentle rotation keeps your back supple and reduces that forward stiffness. I also want to mention something that surprises many women: breathing. When you hunch forward, your lungs cannot fully expand. And when you take shallow breaths, your chest muscles tighten further, pulling you forward more. It becomes a quiet loop. Several times each day, place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose and let your ribs widen, not just forward, but to the sides. Feel the back of your rib cage expand, as if opening tiny accordion folds. This strengthens the muscles between your ribs and supports upright posture. I remember Lillian, 82, who told me, "I feel like I can't get a full breath anymore." But her lungs were healthy. Her posture was simply limiting expansion. When she practiced deep rib breathing daily, she stood straighter without even trying. You see, your body is interconnected. Muscles, bones, circulation, breathing, balance, they all weave together like threads in a quilt. None of these changes mean you are fragile. They mean you are entering a stage that requires wiser attention. There is one more thing I want to speak to gently: confidence. When you begin to feel smaller physically, you may begin to feel smaller emotionally. You may hesitate to take up space. You may lower your gaze more often. But posture is not only mechanical, it is expressive. When you gently lift your chest and lengthen your spine, you send a message to your own nervous system: I am still here. I am still capable. And you are. If you practice even 3 of these habits consistently: morning tall sitting, shoulder blade squeezes, upright walking, balance at the counter, deep rib breathing, you will likely notice subtle but meaningful change over months. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily. That is how the body heals at this age, quietly and faithfully. Now let me take your hands in mine for this last part, because what I'm about to tell you is something many women overlook. Your posture is not only about muscles and bones. It is also about how well you are nourished, how deeply you rest, and how kindly you speak to yourself. Let's begin with nourishment. After 70, your body does not use protein as efficiently as it once did. Protein is the building material for your muscles, including those small back muscles that keep you upright. If you are eating very lightly, skipping meals, or avoiding protein out of habit, your muscles may simply not have enough bricks to repair themselves. You do not need complicated diets. You need steady, simple nourishment. A source of protein at each meal: eggs, yogurt, beans, lentils, fish, chicken, tofu, gives your muscles the materials they require. Think of it as delivering fresh lumber to that well-kept home we talked about earlier. Calcium and vitamin D matter too, of course, but I will say this responsibly. Before starting supplements, speak with your physician. Your needs are individual. Blood levels, kidney health, medications, they all matter. General guidance is helpful, but personal care is wiser. Hydration is another quiet hero. When you are slightly dehydrated, and many women over 70 are, your spinal discs lose a bit of their cushion. They are like small pillows between your vertebrae. When well hydrated, they remain plump. When dry, they flatten slightly, which can contribute to stiffness and that forward pull. You don't need to force water. Just sip consistently through the day. A cup in the morning, one mid-morning, one with lunch, one mid-afternoon. Gentle consistency. Now let's talk about rest. Your body repairs itself during sleep. Muscle fibers rebuild. Bone cells remodel. Even your brain recalibrates balance signals. If your sleep is fragmented or very short, repair becomes slower. I once cared for a woman named Helen, 79, who was doing all her posture exercises faithfully. But she slept barely 5 hours a night. Once we gently improved her sleep routine, dimmer lights in the evening, no television in bed, a consistent bedtime. Her energy improved, and her posture exercises began to show clearer results. You see, the body is one integrated system. And then there is something even softer, emotional posture. Over decades, you have carried responsibilities, children, work, loss, caregiving. Sometimes, without realizing it, your body reflects that weight. The shoulders round not only from muscle weakness, but from years of leaning forward into life. There is no shame in that. But now, in this season, you are allowed to lean back into support. Practice this. Once a day, sit in a firm chair and allow your back to rest fully against it. Let the chair hold you. Let your shoulders drop. Take 3 slow breaths and tell yourself quietly, I am supported. This is not trivial. Your nervous system responds to reassurance. When tension eases, posture follows. I also encourage gentle strength work twice a week if your physician agrees. Simple chair rises, standing up and sitting down slowly without using your hands, are powerful for the hips and spine. Wall push-ups strengthen the chest and arms without strain. Light resistance bands can awaken the upper back. Nothing extreme, nothing punishing, just steady reminders to your body that it is still needed, still capable, still adaptable. Over my 50 years in practice, I saw something remarkable again and again. Women in their late 70s and even 80s improved their posture when they gave consistent, thoughtful attention to it. Not perfectly, not dramatically like a young dancer, but enough to reduce pain, improve breathing, enhance balance, and most importantly, restore confidence. You are not meant to be rigid and straight like a fence post. You are meant to be upright and alive, like an old oak tree. Slightly weathered, yes, but deeply rooted and resilient. If you notice yourself hunching, do not panic. Do not criticize your reflection. Instead, think, my body is asking for wiser care. Stand a little taller when you remember. Strengthen gently. Eat steadily. Sleep kindly. Breathe fully. Hydrate faithfully. Move daily. And always involve your own doctor in decisions about bone density testing, medications, or significant changes. My words are guidance, not replacement. Your health deserves partnership. Aging is not weakness. It is simply a new stage of stewardship. You cared for others for decades. Now you care for the home you live in, your body, with greater awareness. And if today you lift your chest just a fraction, roll your shoulders back gently, and take one fuller breath, that is not a small thing. That is strength returning. You are not shrinking. You are refining. Stay curious about what your body can still learn. In our next conversation, we will talk about another quiet change many women notice after 70 and what it truly means. Until then, sit tall, breathe softly, and remember, you are still growing, just in wiser ways.